Hello, Lund loyalists. John Lund unleashed YouTubers, those watching on X and Instagram and listening on Apple or Spotify. Please make sure to subscribe, like and turn on your alerts so you never miss a show. And for all things Unleashed, go to johnlundunleashed.com. Live shows, archives, the blog, social media links, and more. Now, brought to you by the 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center, here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Here's Johnny.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I just have to check that little thing that if there's not a little X across my microphone, my mic, this tiny little mic. Because what was it last week that I spent like 10 minutes? I always like to make sure I check the comments. I'm like, am I talking? Can they hear me? Maybe they can. Maybe they can't. Welcome in. Tuesday, we survived the Monday. We survived Monday. It is episode 109. We'll get out the roll call in just a second. If you're new around here, we have a chalkboard right there. Could be to my right, my left. I guess my right. As you look at the chalkboard there, that'll kind of give us a guide to what we do throughout the day. So I'll let you know where we are as far as that is concerned, but a ton to get to today. As you saw in the cover, I wrote a piece yesterday at johnlundunleashed.com. I have not released the accompanying video to it, but I will right after the show. But I've got that up, who the Warriors would like to see and more so not like to see in the Western Conference playoffs. So I actually put a kind of a list together. I know I'm loath of lists, but I did do a list. So that's what playoff yes or no means. Golden State at Phoenix. The Dubs have no idea how close they are to becoming the Suns or to being the Suns at this particular point. I'll explain that. Lots of people talking about Curry's fouls. We'll get into that. The latest in the standings, of course. Logan Webb was absolutely great, but those things happen. Sometimes you get caned, as in Matt caned, many times throughout his Giants career, and that's what happened to Logan Webb last night. Did nothing wrong, but still, the Giants don't get the win. Those things are going to happen. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other guy, and the other guy, Hunter Green, was just really, 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 really good last night. Camilo Duvall, all sorts of problems. It goes to the mental side of the game because it certainly isn't his stuff, so we'll explain that. The next two games, as important as over 162, because this isn't like the Warriors who are coming down the stretch. This isn't generally every week in the NFL when you only have 17 and soon to be 18 of these things. But Roop and Verlander back-to-back are really important, these next two starts, to me, and I'll tell you why. Mel's got a new mock, my 2.0. I want to explain a little bit further because I got some really good constructive criticism and feedback on that, so we'll talk about that. The national championship was last night between Florida and Houston. Two Caboose today. Deuce Caboose today, so I'll give you that as well. Random stuff happens throughout the show before we go out to the lines and see how everybody's doing and welcome everybody in on a Tuesday edition of the show. There is one thing, and it's the reason I'm late, and there is no excuse to be late. Come on, man. You got to be here. It's 8 o'clock. How difficult is it? 8 o'clock Pacific. Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock Pacific on John Lund Unleashed, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. But the reason I was late is I was about ready to hit go live, and the City Connects dropped officially. So we'll get into that and the reason why they are what they are, because everybody looks at them and goes, ugh. And I don't want to be a hater. I want to embrace things. I want to have a great attitude towards things, but these ones are a little bit tough because I understand what they're trying to do. But I think if you're going to do it, you go all in on something like this, and they kind of didn't. So I got a couple of pictures to show you. So that's not on the chalkboard today, but that is certainly a conversation point. We might even lead with that thing. Who knows? Because I just looked at it and I'm ADD and I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that right now. So anyway, if you are new around here, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and tell all your friends. Also, if you give us a thumbs up on the show, that helps the algorithm so people can find us so that our content grows, which is kind of the point here. So if you would give us a thumbs up, that would be absolutely amazing. Please give us a follow, subscribe, all those kind of things as well. And on the Bay Area Sports Collective on YouTube, don't want to be confusing, but John Lund Unleashed, YouTube, Bay Area Sports Collective, YouTube. We're on both of those channels, and all you got to do is subscribe on that channel, and you'll get my show, Tom Tolbert, who is going back live today at 2 o'clock. Polymax Particles which a lot of days about 11 a.m., but they kind of go back and forth. They'll do some day shows, some night shows, which is really, really cool. So Polymac and Creative Tony. So all those shows, and we're going to be adding shows as well. So make sure to save yourself the aggravation. Where's that show? Just go to Bay Area Sports Collective in addition to John Lund Unleashed, and you're good to go. Good morning to those on X. Much appreciated at John Lund Radio. They are watching on X today as well. Hit the button on Instagram. So people watching on Instagram at John Lund Radio. We're on Twitch, LinkedIn. If you don't want to work, I'm looking for something on LinkedIn. Just watch the show there. Facebook, my personal page, John Lund, which we can be friends, and also join the page, John Lund Unleashed on Facebook, if that's what you want to do. All things Unleashed at johnlundunleashed.com. And there are 2 new pieces up at johnlundunleashed.com before we get too far. Let me just show you that really, 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 really quickly as I share my screen with you. I have nothing bad on there. Let's see, right there. That's what's up right now, who the Warriors want to see and avoid in the playoffs. I'll do that a little bit later. And Mock Monday, Mock Draft 2.0, which dropped yesterday. So a couple of pieces that you may not have seen that I wrote in the last couple of days with an accompanying video later for the Warriors playoff discussion. So those are the 2 things that are up on the blog right now. Just go to johnlundunleashed.com for all things Unleashed, like archives of shows, podcasts, gear, social media stuff, and links. So all those kind of things at johnlundunleashed.com. All right, now that we have all of that out of the way, good morning on roll call this morning. Sorry, I didn't post this till late either, so that wasn't great. But Tacky, Ernesto, Ron, Hurley Bird, look at everybody. Danny is checking in. Very, very cool. Pine Needle. Oh, you got a Masters thing going on. It's Masters. We totally get that. Skills, got a great email from Skills yesterday. Incredibly nice of you to drop the email that you dropped, and I appreciate everybody. Steve, it is great to see you. Rocket New Era. Good morning, Tacky. Did I say Tacky? I don't know. Pin Willie is here. A Lund Army is what he's calling it. Very cool. I like that. But I'm getting stuck on Pine Needle's Masters. It's very cool, man. Sports Girl for Life. Good morning to you. It was very nice to see you, Sports Girl for Life. Hello, John Holmes. John Holmes says, "Oh, I got Rory finally putting on the green jacket." That would be pretty. That would be pretty cool. I like those. You know, I don't hate any golfers. I know some people do. I don't. I love good stories, and that would be a cool story. So I would like that. Good morning, Joy. It's great to see you, Jazz fan. Hello. JJ Rader, it is nice to see you with that 6th overall pick in the draft. John Harder, good morning to you. Good morning to James. Jake is here. Hello, Jake. Nice to meet and nice to see you. I've met you many, many times. Danny A is here. Steve, as I said, good morning. I'll go to questions, comments, and thoughts. Good morning, Mark. Good to see you too. Good morning to everybody. It is great to see everybody on this Tuesday edition of the show. Just a quick show note. Tomorrow, I will have a short show for you, but I think what I'm going to try to do, because I'm going to go to tomorrow's day game for the Giants, I'm going to try to get out there at least for homestands 2 of the 3 games, and then Warriors playoffs, and then Niners stuff, and I'll be down there for the draft and all those kind of things. So I'll be giving you a lot of boots on the ground stuff, but I will be at the game tomorrow. And in order to get there to talk to Bob Melvin and get in the dugout beforehand and learn a little bit of insight, you got to be there for the manager, and that usually hits at about 10:30. So if I get out of here tomorrow just after 9 and drive like a bat out of hell to the city, I think I'll be fine. But just so you know, and then what I'm thinking about, if one of the restaurants around the ballpark would just let me do it, just set up. You know, they don't have to do anything, but just, set up, maybe feed me drinks or something like that, do a post-game show right there. If you guys would be down with something like that, I think it'd be cool, especially for like a day game tomorrow. If you guys are going to just be hanging out, it'd be really cool. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to do something like that. I'm going to get down there early tomorrow and talk to a few people, because opening day is just a madhouse. Nobody wants to do anything but like a couple of the joints that are around there. And I know some of the people that own it. So I may be able to just rip across the street and just do some sort of like a post-game show. If you guys would tune in on something like that, let me know, because then I would just do that. Talk to players. I mean, it would be probably half hour, 45 minutes after the game, but run into the clubhouse, talk to a few players, get it in my computer, and then kind of do a post-game show and have a little bit of fun, have a couple of beers, whatever, be sitting in a joint right across from the stadium. I think that'd be kind of cool. So anyway, thinking about doing something like that. All right, before in episode 109, we get to the playoffs and the Warriors and all this kind of stuff, and I'm sorry because I'm just ADD. I should wait until we're going to talk about baseball, but I got to bring these up because I just saw them, and so I got to bring these things up. And now there's a couple of different things here. Susan Slusser, what am I drinking? Harry Carey here. Susan Slusser of the Chronicle posted this, and this came from the Giants, and this is their new City Connects, which they'll wear tonight. So as she points out there, essentially what she is saying, if you can't read that, the San Francisco, California, San Francisco Giants officially unveiled their Nike City Connect uniform today, a tribute to San Francisco's rich cultural identity, blending the Giants' storied legacy with the city's vibrant and influential music scene. The team will wear the uniform for the first time tonight, April 8th, for all future Tuesday games. Okay, so before I show you the uniform itself, and you may have already seen it because there were leaks and they were right on the point, I get what they're doing here, and I like the idea. I like the concept, whoever came up with it, and it's probably overdue. I mean, their City Connects, the only reason we liked them the first time around was because they won in them. And once they started not winning in them, we saw how hideous they generally were with the fog and the bright orange. And I don't know, I just was never a big fan, but they won in them, so people liked them. Now, this concept of the music scene, and basically what you're doing is you're trying to go back to, hippies and music and 60s and all that kind of stuff. And they kind of did it. You see how they kind of I don't know, it just seems to me like this is like the first version of the AI generated SF Giants thing. And they just didn't want to take it too far. You're like, whoa. Let's not get it too far. Let's not get drugs involved. But if you're going to do something like this, like, how I don't know if you like the Padres, but the Padres, when they did their City Connects, and I don't know if they're the same ones, but like the green and the pink and the yellow. And I mean, they just went super vibrant and people were down with them and I liked them. And if you're going to do something for San Francisco and it's going to be hippie-ish and music scene and all that kind of stuff, real hate it, Ashbury and stuff, just go balls out. Like the way that I'm seeing it is like, hippie, and I don't know, I guess they don't want to put smoke on their uniforms or anything like that, like any kind of thing that would allude to weed, but it's like, I mean, that's San Francisco. Like if you're going to do it, just go balls out on the whole thing and make it really cool, and hippies and bands, and you know what I mean? Just make like what you need to do, honestly. And I don't want to be a hater on all this stuff because every uniform that comes out, people bitch and moan. But what I'd love to see before I show you the uniform, what I would love to see is hire someone from the minor leagues who does, advises on these kind of things, because like the Fresno tacos and all the crazy stuff that the minor league teams do and the uniforms they come up with are 10 times better than anything the City Connects ever come up with as far as the teams are concerned. Now, the Giants played in Houston early in the year. I like those City Connects. Those were cool. That was an ode to the space program and all that kind of stuff. Like I like those City Connects. They're not all bad, but I love the concept of what the Giants were going for here, but I think they should have just gone balls out. So here's what the uniform looks like if you haven't seen it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just, okay, you have that Giants thing going on. I get it. And you've got like a kind of a little bit of purple and a little bit of orange. And like, I get it. I guess you got to stay with the orange because that's your Giants thing. Like there was probably someone within the Giants saying, well, it's got to have orange. That's our color. It's got to have orange. And like, I get it to a point. But like, again, if you look at what the Padres did when they went all out, there's no brown. Like their main color is brown. I mean, I don't know who came up with their concept, brown and yellow. Really? Fecal matter, waste. Okay, let's go with those two colors. I've never been a fan of the brown and the gold or the brown and the yellow or whatever the hell the Padres are. If I would own the Padres, I'd have changed that color scheme long ago. And they've never seemed to be able to get it. Like they'll do like a blue and a white, or they just never get it. But for their City Connects, they nailed it. And the reason they nailed it is because they just went, let's just throw everything about our uniform out the window and let's just see. We'll keep the logo, the SD, whatever. But they threw everything out. And that's what the Giants should have done. You don't have to have orange in there. Like go with the colors of the 60s and just really embrace what San Francisco's about and all those things. And I don't know, they just kind of went, well, we got to be black and orange still, but we got to just throw a little bit of flair in there. So let's do this AI generated Giants thing. And we're wild and wacky and ooh. And I think they missed. I think that the concept is great. The concept is great. Like, yeah, it's music and it's the 60s and it's San Francisco, and embrace it. Well, there are no rules and it is wild and you don't have to be black and orange. And that's someone within the organization saying, we still got to be orange and black. We still got to market this thing as the orange and the black. And it's like, no, you don't. Go balls out. You're only doing this on home Tuesdays. I mean, how many times are you going to wear these things? Not that much. And you're trying to market and sell. And I don't know, it just, I don't want to be a hater on every single thing I see and everything that's released. But if I had seen that concept, the first thing I think of is AI generated Giants. Somebody in the marketing department way high up just does not want to let go of orange and black. And they feel like they've got to have it in there when you could have gone balls out and had cool colors, almost like Easter type colors. Like I'm thinking of the Padres, but you don't want to, be them. But I'm saying like the pinks and the purples and the greens and that kind of thing. And they could have been really cool in 60s and throwback and retro. And they could have sold a boatload of these things because no other city has that kind of vibe to it. Only San Francisco. So fully embrace that vibe. And they just missed. I mean, they just missed because somebody felt like, you know what, it's got to be orange and black. Throw a little purple in there. Make our Giants a little wavy, and woo, we've done it. It's like a 65-year-old did this, and said, this is what's going to be wild. No, man. Get somebody who did minor league uniforms and somebody who really embraces the culture of San Francisco, and get like some sort of an artist and put those kind of heads together, and they could have come up with something really cool. But it's somebody old who went AI, and we got to have orange and black. That's what it looks like to me. I could be totally wrong, and I could be overanalyzing this, but you could have embraced the culture of the city and the music scene and the history, and they just didn't. They just totally missed. It was like somebody said, it's got to be orange and black. Put a couple of waves. Let's not be too crazy here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing and no one really cares. But what a great concept, right? Whoever came up with the concept, you're going A+ concept. So what are we going to do with it? You're in the meeting. And then some old person walks in and goes, let's not be too crazy here. We got to have orange and black in there. Let's just make it a little wavy and crazy. And then after that, we're good. But it's got to be orange and black. Let's put a little purple in there. Ooh, 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 ooh. Wow. Really? Anyway, whatever. Do whatever you want. I'm fine. But I'm just, I explained my reasoning, and I think it's fair reasoning. There is so much, there's that word again, potential to make an amazing uniform that could have lasted and just would have been totally 60s and crazy and retro and throwback. The concept is awesome, but nope. Got to be black and orange. Got to be black and orange. We can't go too wild. We're the Giants. Can't be too crazy. Oh, man. All right. Give me your thoughts on it. I don't know. I didn't love it. Yeah, like I said, that you hit it right in the head. Have somebody from San Francisco imagine the artists that are here. And if you wanted to make it a little bit more conservative, because I'm pretty sure who I know who made this decision at the end of the day, then I don't want to be a hater starts hating. I just don't want to be one of those people, and I don't want to come across as one of those people in the media industry, in sports, where we have so much fun that everything comes out, and without even looking at it, like my eyes goes, crop, 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 that's crop, crop, crop. Are you even looking at it? No, it's just crop. I know who they're marketing to, and a lot of times it's not me, but like I said, if you're trying to market to a certain person who would really embrace and like that jersey, go all out. Just go balls out on it, because we'll see how many of these jerseys they sell. And I was amazed at how many of the original concept of the City Connects. I thought those things were so ugly. We got them at the station early, and when I pulled them out, it's just I'm like, no. Like the bright orange and the fog and the whole thing. Like it just, I get it. Like that of all the concepts, this is what I mean about missing an opportunity and missing the target here on these. Like if somebody came to me and said, let's do the city and the fog and the bridge, and it's like, okay. I mean, it doesn't inspire me, and I'm not excited about it. But when you start talking about the vibrant music scene and the history of San Francisco and all that, Haight-Ashbury in the 60s and something, what you could do with that kind of a uniform, and then to come up with that, yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a hater, but that concept, great. Execution, not so much. Right? And that's what they say in sports all the time. Like you could have a great concept, but if it's executed poorly, then everybody's going to go, bleh. So like I said, I don't want to be hating it, but I don't know. What do you think? You like it? Am I wrong? I mean, believe me, you know me. I'm no fashionista. What the hell do I know? But I'm just saying, like it wasn't, that's not inspiring to me. A little bit of Giants. Whoa, wavy, crazy, wavy. But it's got to be black and orange. Like, man, whoever designed the Padres uniform should have designed, there's the logos. They should have designed the Giants, because they just, you don't have black and orange, man. Go crazy, folks, go crazy. So there's that. All right. It is episode 109. I went totally off the board with the City Connects. That broke officially right before the show started. So I just wanted to kind of get into some of that kind of stuff. All right. Something at, as I said, JohnLundUnleashed.com, and I'm going to click on it this time, and I'm not going to show you the whole thing here, but it's who the Warriors should want to play and avoid come playoff time. And I wrote this yesterday. So let me see how much. So I'm going to click on this, but I'm going to add a video to it a little bit later. Let me see. I'm only going to give you the first couple. So this is obvious. This is in order of easy to hard. So Kings, obviously. Grizzlies are just added their coach. The Mavericks, by the way, I put third easiest, not first or second easiest, because they have Anthony Davis. And by the way, the Kings or the Mavericks, I'm not going to show you anymore after that, but the Kings and the Mavericks would be 1-game series. So that's what scares the hell out of you. Like, the Kings have knocked you out of this play-in thing. The Mavericks, the only way you're playing them is if you're in the play-in part of the bracket. And they've got Anthony Davis. Now, they don't have Kyrie, and they traded Luka, and they're kind of a mess of a team. But Anthony Davis has scored 30 or more points and grabbed double-digit rebounds in the playoffs against the Warriors 5 times. And I don't want to see him at all. So anyway, go to the website at some point today, and I'll add a video to it a little bit later. Who do the Warriors want to play and avoid come playoff time? And so I've got a whole piece up there right now at johnlundunleashed.com, in addition to my mock 2.0, in which you can mock that. So go to johnlundunleashed.com for those things. And my concept in this whole thing and writing about this is where I really had the toughest time with it. And I don't know if they can get this far, whatever the bracket is going to say, and we talk about it all the time. But whether I put OKC as the most difficult team because, what are they, 64-14? They're a great 82 games team. They're very deep. They have off the bench 5 guys that average 17 or more minutes. So they're reliant on not only guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who they're going to play a ton of minutes, and Chet Holmgren and Williams, the kid out of Santa Clara, and all that. Look, they've got really nice players. But really where they are is their depth is really, really good. And you're going to par that down come playoff time. So are they an 82 games team? Absolutely. Are they a sprint to 16 team? There's a major difference in that. And that's where I think a team like the Warriors, they take on Oklahoma City and they win a game in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's going, Whereas, I looked at the Rockets the other night and I thought, well, they do have a couple of veterans. I mean, Fred VanVleet has won a championship. Now, I don't know if by osmosis you can get that through to your other players. But anyway, I rank them from the teams that you'd want to see to the teams that you wouldn't want to see, the teams that scare me too. And I contemplated, like I said, where I put Oklahoma City, and ultimately I may change actually where I put them because I thought about it last night. But Oklahoma City would be tough. They're 64-14. Don't get me wrong. But what I saw from Houston the other night, and then as I'm always preaching, Denver scares the hell out of me. They're not deep, though. The thing about Denver is they're not deep, but if they get home court on you, and they don't have to play back-to-backs, and you got to deal with the elevation and all that. Although I was looking at Denver last night for this when I wrote this piece, they're only 25-15 at home. And the way you hear and talk about Denver all the time, it's like you would think that Denver's lost 3 games or something all year at home. So they're not up to their normal standards at 25-15. They really don't have a bench to speak of. They might go 8 deep, but Watson is there, and Westbrook isn't what he used to be. So they're going to rely, especially in the playoffs, on a lot of, their 5 men are going to win or lose their games. Their bench isn't really that good whatsoever. And then the other team that I was throwing up in there is the Lakers. And part of me says, okay, well, you got guys like LeBron James who have been to championships, won championships. You got a guy like Luka Doncic who almost single-handedly led his team to the NBA Finals out of the Western Conference last year. How's that going to work? And I still think that as ball dominant as LeBron and Luka are, and we saw it the other night in the game against the Warriors, if one of them is ball dominant, the other one's standing around, and that's not really what that person does. Neither Luka or LeBron are great shooters. I mean, they're good, but they're great scorers. They're great all-around players. They're great passers. Well, Luka doesn't play any defense, and LeBron it's optional. But I'm saying on the offensive end of the floor, one guy's dominating the ball and the other guy's standing around, and there's still too much of that going on with the Lakers. So not sure about them. And then the other thing, and again, I'm not going to give all this away, but Minnesota's won 14-17. Minnesota at the beginning of the year, after they traded Karl Anthony Towns, I'm thinking, nah. And so they've been sitting around kind of in the Warriors. They're all 46-32 now, but they're sitting at 7, and I'm thinking, they're not going to be that big of a threat. And then you start looking at what they've done lately. I mean, they've won 14-17. They're back to playing really, really good defense. Jaden McDaniels is a problem, especially defensively. Anthony Edwards can go off. Now, the thing that always holds me back against Minnesota and putting them, in a scary zone against the Warriors is that they figure out Rudy Gobert very, very quickly. And a guy who is often in the conversation as defensive player of the year, he's off the floor in the playoffs. And that's why nobody's talking about him as defensive player of the year this year, because it's like, okay, you have a great regular season, and I get it. It's a regular season award. But come playoff time, you can't get out the shooters, drop coverage. Guys are easily shooting over you. If they get you in the run game at all and they speed up the tempo of the game, then you struggle in those kind of games. You really don't give Minnesota much offense at all, so people can kind of slough off you. I mean, he's good around the rim, and he's offensive rebounds and things like that, but you don't really have to guard Rudy Gobert at all. So when you drill down into a team, and this is what the Warriors are so good at over a 7-game series, and a team has to figure you out, the Wolves are already figured out by the Warriors. I mean, this is the same team they've played for a long time. It's Rudy Gobert. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I guess they wanted to move Cat, although it was financially driven at the end of the day. But Minnesota's won 14-17. I just know that. And so they've been a team where I'm looking at them and I'm going, okay, I don't really fear the Timberwolves. And then I started to get deep into them to write this piece yesterday. And I was like, that team's pretty good actually right now. So that might be a scary team to play as well. So anyway, go to, as it says, playoff yes or no, go to johnlundunleashed.com. And you can read my logic, and I'll add a video to that a little bit later on. As that's why you got to have your alerts on, because I'll drop one of those later on to accompany that piece. So check that out. Dubs Suns flip as I go Golden State at Phoenix tonight. And the Dubs Suns flip, what I mean by that is, and I've told you this before, but since they're playing Phoenix tonight, I'll elaborate on it a little bit. So the Warriors came ever so close to being basically what the Suns are now. And let me just pop up. You know I'm going to do this because I do this every single day. And you're like, dude, no. Don't put up those standings. Yep. Sorry. I just have no choice, but I have to do it every single day. So that's where we are in the standings. And again, 3-6. I wouldn't mind that matchup as far as, like, I'd love to get to the Clippers. And that's another team that kind of is forgotten, and I don't really want to play because Kawhi Leonard can take over a series still with his injuries and age, but I'd much rather be, say, Clippers and let the Lakers and the Nuggets, because I don't like either of those matchups, the Lakers and Nuggets, let them kind of slug it out, and then I beat the Clippers, and then I played one, not both. I don't want to play the Lakers and the Nuggets, but anyway, whatever. You got to play somebody. It is the playoffs. But let me look at the standings because I bring up the Suns. And so you see where Phoenix is down there at 35-43. Clearly, they're not going to make the playoffs. They are 2 back of Dallas, which I guess they could conceptually, but 4 games left, 2 back of Dallas. I do not know as the tiebreaker in that one, but likely Phoenix is not going to make the playoffs and the play-in. And even if they were, they'd probably be out very, very early. As you can see right there, they've lost 6 in a row. So they're not a very good team. But I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing for the show, and it was like, you know how close the Warriors became to being the Suns? Now they're not, and that's good news. But I've told you this before. From what I was told by sources in Phoenix, the deal was done with Jimmy Butler to Phoenix. Now, in terms of a contract, Phoenix, the Suns and their new owner, Matt Ishbia, who's very, very aggressive and wants to win, but probably in the offseason now is going to have to trade Kevin Durant, much like I think the Warriors were going to have to trade Steph Curry had they not gotten the Jimmy Butler deal done, because I think they'd be sitting where the Suns are. But the Suns had a deal, they thought, or at least they had a contract with Jimmy Butler, and then they went to Miami, and Bradley Beal did not want to, one of only 2 players in the NBA, Bradley Beal, along with LeBron James, who have no trade clauses, full no trade. And so Beal did not want to go to Miami. He wanted to be incentivized to go to Miami. Miami's like, are you crazy? You're net negative. We don't even want you, but this deal is, contingent upon your contract, so we'll take you back, much like Miami took Andrew Wiggins back in the Butler deal. The Suns had Bradley Beal had no interest in going to Miami, and so without being incentivized, which he wasn't, and therefore invoked his no trade clause, and nothing happened, and Jimmy Butler stayed in Miami. Ultimately, when the Warriors came around to fine, we'll give you the extension, because the Warriors had the deal done, they in Miami had a deal done, and Jimmy Butler saying no extension, no go. And then finally, when the Warriors relented and said, okay, fine, we'll give you the extension, then Jimmy said, the Bay Area is always where I wanted to be. I love the Bay Area. This is great. I love Steph. I love Darren, blah, 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 blah. And he got his contract extension, his 2-year contract extension. So if Bradley Beal, one guy, had said, you know what, I'll go to Miami, fine. You don't want me in Phoenix, fine. I'll go to Miami. If he had said that, Jimmy Butler would be a member of the Phoenix Suns playing with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And I believe they would be where the Warriors are. And I believe the Warriors would be 35-43, or maybe where the Mavericks are, or something like that. Maybe where the Kings are. I mean, they would be in that 9, 10, 11. Maybe they wouldn't be the Suns. Maybe I'm stretching that a little bit, but they'd certainly be, I think, in the 9, 10, 11 discussion. And we would be having a far different discussion ourselves, because we'd be like, well, there they are at the bottom again. It's kind of like the last couple of years. Could get knocked out. And then Steph Curry, who at the time was, as you could tell, Steph's not a glum kind of a guy, but that's about as down as his dauber will ever be. And I don't know what a dauber is, so don't ask. But he was down. And after games, you could tell before the Jimmy trade, which was on February 6th, I don't want to play in a mediocre basketball team. This is not really how I want to go out. This. He's dropping hints the size of landmines. Let me get this off the screen, because I'm sure you'd rather see me. But anyway, he's dropping hints the size of landmines that this is not acceptable. And so then this Jimmy miracle comes about. And remember, Jimmy Butler originally said no interest in Golden State. So he thought, well, that's done. And then, like I said, through the magic of an extension and one player on the Suns saying, I will invoke my no trade, only one of two players with that ability in the entire league, and Washington gave it to him in his latest contract. What a disaster. So Phoenix is sitting here with the real possibility that in the offseason they're going to trade Kevin Durant. Maybe they keep Booker, maybe not. They've got to look at their entire roster, and Matt Ishbia, who's a guy who wanted to come in and save the day from a terrible owner, and Robert Sarver is going to have to sit there and go, okay, do we rebuild this whole thing? And I believe that's where the Warriors would be, because without Jimmy Butler, let's be honest, what are they, 21-6 without Jimmy Butler? They were 25-26 before Jimmy Butler. Like, we almost forget it. They were 25-26 without Jimmy Butler. They've been absolutely on fire, and I'm not going to pop up those standings again, but they're one of 5 teams at 46-32. Like, wait a minute, they played so well. Why aren't they higher up in the standings? Because when he got here, they were 25-26. So without him, that wouldn't have changed. I mean, that's 51 games. You at that point, without a trade of without getting Jimmy Butler, you are what you are at that point. You're 51 of 82 in. I mean, I think we can have a rather pretty good assessment. What is that, 60% of the season or so? I don't know. We can do math. But, I mean, it's something like that. So there's the math. 51 of 82 games gone. It's more than 50%. So, I don't know, 60% or so. And at that point, the Warriors are what they are. So without Jimmy Butler, they're where Phoenix is or Dallas is or Sacramento is. And we're having this conversation sitting here right now today going, I mean, we've probably had it 10 times by now without the Jimmy Butler trade. Will they trade Steph in the offseason? That's what we'd be talking about. We wouldn't be talking about playoffs. We wouldn't be talking about how far they're going to go. I wouldn't be writing something about who do you want to avoid and see in the playoffs, because you'd want to avoid everybody. There wouldn't be one team that you'd be like, hey, let's play them. And Phoenix would be up ahead of you. So you would almost be flipping places with Phoenix, because they'd have Jimmy, they'd have Durant, they'd have Booker. I mean, they'd be pretty good. They obviously, going the other way would be Beal, but he's been a net negative, and that's a horrible contract. And they thought that big three was going to work. But I could see Butler and Durant, certainly with Booker, and that being a major problem. Now, would they be as good as the Warriors at this point? I don't know. But we've seen the magic of Jimmy, and hopefully we're going to see playoff Jimmy, but I think they'd be pretty close to flipping places. I just know this. They were 25-26, so they'd be down near the bottom, because that's where they were. They were hovering around 8, 9, 10 the entire season up to that point. And all of a sudden, 21-6 since Jimmy. And what tells you how they were so bad? It was like they've absolutely dominated teams. They're rolling. In your mind, you're thinking the Warriors are like, a 2 or a 3 seed. I mean, that's the way they've been playing since the All-Star break. Jimmy Butler got here on February 6th. So, we're only a couple of months into this whole thing, and hopefully they'll get better and better if you're a Warriors fan. But anyway, that's what I meant by that. Dubs, Suns flip. It became so close. I already showed you the standing, so we don't need to do that. So that's what's going on as far as the Warriors are concerned. One thing I wanted to put in there, because I think I updated this whole thing. Curry's fouls. I didn't put anything in. Jimmy talked about it yesterday. Steve Kerr talked about it yesterday. This off the Rockets game, and people are putting a bunch of videos out there in the social media world. Look at Steph getting fouled as much as he does. Look, we know what the playoffs are all about, and this is why I have my doubts about Oklahoma City. Steph's going to get fouled. It's going to be physical. He knows it. Now, what the Warriors are doing, because they're really, really smart, and they're a veteran team, their coach, Steve Kerr, is already coming out and saying, hey, Steph's getting beat around. Steph's getting out, they're physical. There's a lot of fouls. Steph has to deal with it. And then people ask, Steph after the game. Steph deferred to actually Draymond, and Draymond actually saved himself a fine by saying, my opinion on it. Jimmy Butler talked about it. Organizationally, and especially as a veteran, but more so as a coach, that you're already going to start sending messages to the league and to officials that Steph Curry doesn't get officiated correctly. And I'm not saying that he doesn't get some fouls, but maybe the most annoying thing in sports right now is when he's not getting said calls, and then the local broadcast makes your ears bleed. And you just have to, I don't know what you do. I just have to put it on mute. It's the game. And come playoff time, and I say this all the time, and it does happen, I understand that, but for the most part, they've done as good of a job as they possibly could do officiating in all of sports right now. We have modern technology. Should it be faster? It should be. Should it be as invasive as it is, given the technology we have and the fact that officials can, with a pretty high certainty right now, get goals correct without replay, but then we have to go to replay and take 7 or 8 minutes out of a game and stop the rhythm of a game and give a team a rest or whatever, especially in the playoffs where you've got a home court and it's rocking and it's rolling, and then we got to go to replay, and replay takes 2 or 3 minutes and everybody gets a free blow, and the other team that's, down by 8 and the momentum's against them in an opposing arena in the playoffs, they get like a 4-minute break. Like, I hate the whole concept of it in terms of how long it takes and the break it takes. If I'm an official in any sport and I can call it on the fly that fast and have a, 95% accuracy rate, regardless of what people say about officials and everything else, most of the time they're right. A high majority of the time they're right. So why can't I just look at something very quickly in a device that's in my hand and say, yep, like I just did it on the fly for the majority of the game. I just need to give me this small device, hand it to me. I'll look again with my expert eye that I'm paid to do on the floor, and I'll look at it real quick and go, yep, okay. Like, it's not that hard. I've seen it on my couch a million times, just like you have. It's not that I don't like replay. I do, and I want to get it right. I do, but I don't want it to be down to the micro inch of did it take, I've said this a million times. I think they should go into every replay as if there was no call on the floor or on the ice or on the field. Like, no call. Go in completely unbiased. What do you see with the help of replay? Because the bias is what kills me. Like, well, they called it on the field this, and they don't want to overturn it because they don't want to make each other look bad. It's like, look, the fact that we're looking at this means it's questionable. So there is no bias going into the replay. There should be no bias going into the replay in any sport. Call it like you see it. Because I called it in a split second with 1,000 things going on in a really loud crowd, and it happened in a split second. So I could be wrong. I mean, you're going to have the opportunity to go back with video and look at it. There should be no bias whatsoever. You've got to overturn the call. You've got to knock out the champ. This is the way I called it. No, just you have the opportunity now in a nice quiet room with some headphones on and a big screen to take a look at this thing, and you just tell me what you see. Like, it's just not enough. Well, how would you call it with the help of video to slow it down? And it's nice and chill, and just, you got a guy in New York going, he's sipping on a coffee at midnight or something. Like, just what do you see? I made the call in a split second under pressure. What do you see in New York with a video and a cup of coffee, and there's nobody screaming and yelling at you? I mean, wouldn't that be the way to call everything? Yeah, of course it would be. So no bias. What do you see? Sorry, I don't know why I went on a tangent like that about replays and all that kind of stuff. Oh, it came from the concept of Steph's fouls. And look, he's just going to have to deal with it. That's just how it is. Everybody bitches and moans that they don't get officiated correctly. From the biggest guy, like Shaquille O'Neal, was like guys would be bouncing off. He got fouled constantly because he was too big. And now Steph Curry is fouled too much, and he gets knocked around, and people see it. And I understand that. But the thing is, and we talk about this all the time, you know how Draymond Green's reputation is earned, and he doesn't get any benefit of the doubt. And I have no issue with that because he's berated human beings who have feelings for years and years and years, and then he wants a fair shake. It doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. So there's a bias against Draymond Green. There's no question. But guys who consistently get to the free throw line get the benefit of the doubt. So Jimmy Butler gets the benefit of the doubt. So does James Harden. Guys like that who get to the line consistently get the benefit of the whistle. As great as Steph Curry is, he's not really been throughout his entire career. If you have one knock on him, it's not a knock. It's just he's such a great outside shooter that he's not adept at getting the free throw line and to the free throw line and drawing the foul. Now, sometimes these things are obvious. I get it. I get it that sometimes it's obvious, but this is playoff basketball, and it's already being called that way. So that's just the way it's going to be. So if you want to protect him, you want to do this, you want to do that, I get it. And I understand why Steve Kerr specifically addressed the fact that he was getting beat up in the Houston game, because those are all messages. I've covered the league for 30 years. I was on beats for a long time and covered series in which Phil Jackson at opportune times, and you knew it was coming during a playoff series, would take the shots at the officials. That's just what he did. It's part of the strategy of the whole thing. And Steve Kerr isn't stupid. He played for Phil Jackson. What is he going to do? He's going to do those kind of tactics. I can't tell you how many times Phil Jackson within series would send messages to the league, to officials in all sorts of series. Not that the Bulls absolutely needed it, but again, I covered when he was with the Lakers as well, and he was the master at it. And so Steve learned from the master, and he's already starting before the playoffs start, as we're 4 games away, and saying, hey, my guy's getting beat up. Now, whether that makes a difference or not, one whistle, even if it's one whistle of a guy in the back of his head, an official in the back of his head, as I tap my ear for some dumb reason, some official in the back of his head going, oh, yeah, that's right. He gets beat up. He does get that call. And I know you're saying to yourself, he's a superstar. He should get the calls. I understand that. But if you do one thing and all of a sudden you do another, the official, sometimes it doesn't compute. Now, look, he goes to the rim. He should get the call. It shouldn't matter. But a guy like Jimmy Butler gets the calls. He's earned that reputation. Draymond Green has no rope with the officials. He's earned that reputation. Steph Curry, I get it. He's a superstar. He should get those calls, but he doesn't. And I think what the Warriors need to do is just prepare. That's the way the playoffs are going to be called. That's the one thing, and I got a lot of hits on this yesterday when I said this. I said that the game was officiated consistently against the Rockets, and it was, because what happened was in the beginning of the game, they were allowing play, and throughout the game, they were allowing play, and people were hitting me up, and you can do this at John Lund Radio on X if you want to do it in the comments here on YouTube, John Lund Unleashed. You can hit me up there. I love getting comments here, and you don't have to agree with me in this room. You don't at all. But my thought was, from the beginning to the end of that game, it was called consistently, and people were hitting me up going, no, it was in the favor of the Rockets. I didn't see it that way. You can go back and you can see a lot of physicality was let go from the beginning. So in that game, okay, it's going to be a physical game, and you can play accordingly. And Draymond Green tried to at times. He got frustrated by Şengün and the way that he was playing against him, and obviously at the free throw line and the out-of-bounds play and everything, he got frustrated by that. But they were allowing physical play on both sides. And come playoff time, the Warriors know this as well as anybody. That's the way that it's going to be done. But it does mean also that, okay, I get it. We're going to play that way as well, get the consistency. That's why I question Oklahoma City, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's a guy who's adept to getting to the free throw line. Officials will give him the benefit of the doubt. He has earned said benefit of the doubt, even at his young age in the league. But my question about Oklahoma City is, and I like them, and I think they're going to be really tough to beat, but if they don't get the whistles, and he specifically doesn't get the whistles that he got in the regular season, and that's what playoff basketball is all about, then can Oklahoma City be as effective? They're not one of the top free throw shooting teams, by the way, like a team like Memphis is. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets to the line more than anybody else. Is that going to continue in said playoffs? Let's get physical. I knew Tacky would be asking me to chug a beer. You know what? I told you I would today, so I will. I didn't bring one in, which was stupid, but I did say that I would. Aaron, good morning to you. This is a great question. Should there be a head referee in New York, LA that overturns it remotely and hands that call down to the refs? The thing that's hard, and the difference in football, because I think you're making, and thanks for the question, Aaron, it's a great one. In football, there's time between plays, so an official can see something and quickly signal down to the field, and they can stop play. The thing that's hard in the NBA is you're going, and you can't go back 3 plays to say that was a foul, that wasn't a foul. I don't mind the way that they do it. I don't mind challenges. I don't mind any of those kind of things. But it's just, like I said, it's the momentum. Like it's a playoff game, right? And the Warriors are at home, and they've got all this momentum, and they're smoking. I don't know. They're playing the Rockets, just for the sake of conversation. They're up 6. The Rockets are reeling. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and all of a sudden, the Rockets decide, let's challenge this. They get 3 or 4 minutes off. They get to go to sidelines. They get a free timeout. The crowd settles back down. It's a complete momentum changer. You can use it in the game. Let's say you're Houston, and you're in that kind of a situation, and you just want to quell the momentum. You just stop it for a second, because it takes forever. And my thought is, with the technology nowadays that exists in all of the sports, it should be as fast as, the pitch comm, which I don't know why they don't have it. It's so stupid to use it in spring training, to use it in the minor leagues, to have all the kinks worked out, which to me they do. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it looks like they do. That's how fast replay should be. You tap on the helmet. By the time it's back to the pitcher, you have the call. We have that ability to do that, and I don't know why we don't. I've made the call on the fly, split second, with probably 95 to 98% accuracy. And now you give me a replay, and all it has to be is, and it doesn't even have to be on the field. It goes back to your point, Aaron. Somebody could be sitting in New York, LA, wherever the hell they are, in this nice cushy room, and you hit a button, and that guy looks at it, and that person looks at it, and there's no bias whatsoever. You have hit me up and asked me what the call is. So there is no bias. I don't care how you called it on the floor, on the ice, on the field, with your eyes, with 80,000 people screaming at you. I am in a nice, calm, controlled room with a cup of coffee. I'm going to tell you exactly how I see it, and I don't care how it was done on the field, and it should take no more than 10 seconds. I mean, how many replays can you watch in 10 seconds? Probably 2 or 3. I mean, seriously, 30 seconds at the most. If it takes more than 30 seconds, then the play stands. Then I don't know, whatever. But I just said you should have no bias. It just should be, look, this is the call. I don't want to go off on another tangent about it, but I'm saying, just in terms of Steph's fouls, the Warriors know that's the way it's going to be called in the playoffs. They know it. They're just trying to send a message to the league, protect my guy, protect my guy. And then what's going to happen is they'll get in a playoff series. He'll get hit a couple of times. He won't get any calls. Steve Kerr afterwards, especially if they lose, because you don't do that after a win, by the way. If Steph had been beaten around like that in a game and the Warriors win, Steve Kerr doesn't say anything about it. You're sending the message when you lose because it's like, hey, that may have cost us a game. Now, he went 1 of 10 for 3 points. And so what's going to happen is it's going to be the old Curry rules. Remember? They're going to be physical with them in the playoffs. That's what they do every year. It's like, okay, how much physicality can we get away with when it comes to Steph? And what happens is Steve Kerr, the rest of the Warriors are trying to say, no. Let's try to nip this thing right now. That's kind of the deal. All right. Let's see what else. I know I went on a tangent about replay. It's like, really? Stop it. All right, that's where we are. So episode 109, playoffs, yes, no. Go to johnlundunleashed.com and I write for you, and we'll put a video on later. The easiest to the toughest teams that they could play in the Western Conference. The Dubs could be the Suns. That flip, all the Suns had, or all Bradley Beal had to do was say, okay, I'll go. And Jimmy Butler would be a member of the Suns. Where would the Warriors be? Curry's fouls. We've done standings. Let's get to a little baseball last night. These things are going to happen. It doesn't mean anything negatively. That's why down here it says Webb wasted Duvall and then Roop Verlander. That's why Roop and Verlander. Roop is tonight. Verlander is tomorrow. I'm going to go to the game tomorrow. That's why the next two are so important, because Logan Webb does what Logan Webb does. He goes 7 innings. Probably could have gone further. Pitches an absolute gem. Strikes out 10. No score. Hunter Green was absolutely great. Hunter Green was just that much better. Hunter Green has thrown, I saw a number last night on MLB Network, 99 plus mile an hour pitches. He was throwing 99.7 in the 9th inning was Hunter Green last night. Not that that's everything, but you got to know where it's going, Nuke Lelouch, and I get it. But he was throwing 99.7. He's thrown 128 pitches of 99 or more. Number 2 on that list was Jordan Hicks, and he had 24. So he had thrown 128. Hunter Green had thrown 128 99 plus mile per hour pitches. Impress your friends with this. And Jordan Hicks was second with 24 in the entire league. So the guy's just got gas. He's a former number 1 pick. The guy's really, really good. He's now become just elite. And I know last year he was an all-star type, but now he looks like he's one of the top pitchers in the game. And this is the second time the Giants have faced him. So normally in a second time, they face him on opening day, and second time through, you're thinking, okay. And then they did the Giants a massive favor last time because it was opening day, and I think they only had him go 5. But then last night he almost finished the whole thing out. So I feel bad for Logan Webb. It's going to happen throughout an entire season where you're just not going to, you're not going to get any of the breaks. I do have the box score if you would love to see that. Probably not. Let me see here. Where is the box score? I don't even really want to bring the box score up. So maybe if I can't find it, that would be a good thing. Let's see. City Connect jersey. Maybe I didn't. Oh, here it is right here. Here's the box score. Darn it. I didn't want to find it, to be honest with you. But there you go. Hunter Green was absolutely great. Look at that. 8 2/3. 7 strikeouts. Logan Webb, he's no slouch. You're a tremendous slouch, Judge. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts. What's the guy supposed to do? It's Camilo Duvall, who I'm getting a little nervous about him because I've said back end of the bullpen, and this is absolutely huge. This is not, you're going to hear from Bob Melvin in a second. He says, before this, he was great. He was not great. You can't walk the leadoff hitter. I don't know what it's like to have the great stuff that Duvall has, but if I threw 100, I would just try to place that constantly on the inner half, get it right in on the hands, bore in the hands, like Mariano Rivera used to do with that amazing pitch that he threw. He basically threw 1 pitch. But the slider, the stuff, I don't know what it is mentally. Maybe it's, early in the season it wasn't playing that way, and now it is. Whatever the case may be, Camilo Duvall is a problem right now. Here's Bob Melvin last night after the 2-0 loss. He blew it. Here's Bob Melvin talking about.
I saw Camilo be very solid to start the year, just what hasn't been going his way these last 2 games.
Strikes. When he gets ahead and he's throwing strikes, he's a lot more effective. Earlier, like you said, before the last couple outings, he'd been really good. We were down Tyler today, so that was kind of his inning today, but it just got away from him when you walked the leadoff guy, and next thing you know, there's a couple.
What they may have to start doing is Randy Rodriguez is off to a great start. I'm not about ruining a guy's confidence, especially Camilo Duvall, who I think, as you look at this whole thing, he's really critical to me because what I have said throughout the entire spring is I would love to have Jordan Hicks in the 7th, Duvall in the 8th, Ryan Walker in the 9th, and there you go, ball game over, and you're playing 6-inning games, which a guy like Logan Webb, who goes 7 the way that he is, you're going to win the majority of those games. Sometimes, as I said, we are always searching for fans for someone to blame. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? You know what? Hunter Green was just really good last night. So I give it up to Hunter Green, but it's too bad that it has to happen at Logan Webb's expense. But the bigger picture here is we've talked about it, and nobody's panicking. It's another loss. They were not going to go. I got news for you. They weren't going to go 161-1. But a game like last night is frustrating because you get this great pitching performance, and it's, the hitters, they only had 3 opportunities. I think they went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Remember after the Mariners game over the weekend, Friday, I guess it was, they were 6 for 28. So they go 0 for 3 last night. Shows you how dominant Hunter Green was. Nobody's getting on base. Just nobody was getting on base. And so you look at Duvall and you start going, okay, I got to get nervous because it looks like the guy from last year. And you scratch your head and you want to talk to a sports psychologist about it because the guy throws nasty stuff, 100 miles an hour with movement. His slider, when it's on, is unhittable. And you would think in his head, and this is just the mental part of it, and we all know this, it doesn't have to be with sports. It's just in life. Confidence is everything. Belief is everything. Confidence is everything. And I just don't think he has confidence because a guy like Camilo Duvall should be challenging hitters. Like, I don't need to bite around the zone. I hate that. He nitpicks around the zone. It's like, dude, you have just ridiculous gas with movement. Your slider works off of that, and that bites down and is absolutely nasty. You should have tremendous confidence in what you're throwing up there at the plate. And when he was on in an all-star, he did. It was like, you ain't hitting this. Go for it. You ain't hitting this. And he's just always nitpicking around the corners, and I'm like, this isn't him. And so when Bob Melvin says, strikes, it's like a guy like that should be constantly saying, you can't hit this. You can't hit this. Oh, I just dropped the bottom out of that slider. Sorry, you're out. Like, that's just how it should be. So it's a confidence issue. So to me, how much longer? And Bob Melvin is a guy who is famous for giving his veterans enough rope to hang themselves. But in Camilo Duvall's case, you went through this last year. I don't think the Camilo Duvall should have a whole lot of rope here. But then again, I know that it's a confidence issue. He's talked before about how it's tough for him to not have the stakes of being the closer on the line. He struggled with that. He's gone back and forth. I don't know, and I'm not going to say this off 2 outings, but being the 8th inning guy is critical, and having a guy that can do that is critical. So is Randy Rodriguez going to get the next opportunity? He has been off to a great start, but that same thing happened last year. Rodriguez was off to this tremendous start, and then he struggled. So they've got to be able to nail down 7, 8, 9. You've got a game like last night where it's tied. Hunter Green is absolutely dominant. But it's kind of like the Mariners game. Like, can you buy me time? Can you buy me time until my offense can come around and make a play? And Camilo Duvall couldn't do that. So how much time do you give Camilo Duvall? Now they're 8-2. It's fine. They're playing great baseball. It's, it happens. Give Hunter Green a ton of credit. Too bad you wasted the Webb performance. But then what this does for the rest of the series is Roop. How big is Roop in this deal? Really, really big, because I need to know. And your 5th starter, I've said this before, and you know this, can be hit and miss, and that's fine. But the next 2 are important to me in that I think Ray is solid. Logan Webb, we know what he's going to be. What's Roop as the 5? Would you bring Birdsong in if Roop struggles? His first outing was just okay, but I don't want to lose confidence with him, so I want to keep him. I want to give him a few starts. I want to say good things about Verlander. He's a really good guy. I had a good conversation with him on opening day on Friday. Really confident guy. But after a couple of starts, it's a 6.14 ERA. Did not look good in game number 2, looked better in game number 1 or outing number 1 than he did in outing number 2. And I wouldn't question 32-year-old Justin Verlander, but I am going to question 42-year-old Justin Verlander, who was slotted as the number 2 starter. And yeah, Robbie Ray can take that over. But then, okay, Jordan Hicks is your 3, and now you're looking at 4 and 5. So Justin Verlander has got to show something tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to be out at that game because it becomes important. And when Logan Webb doesn't win and gets beat in a situation like that, then somebody like Roop tonight has to pick him up, and Verlander tomorrow has to pick him up. So you get 2 or 3 of the Reds and you move on. So that's what's going on as far as the Giants are concerned. What is your concern level for Camilo Duvall, and how long would you give him? Because Bob Melvin does have a history of giving guys more and more chances, but I do know this too, that they gave Camilo Duvall chances last year, and I don't know how patient Bob is going to be this year, especially if you have a guy like Randy Rodriguez where you say, look, Rodriguez has been really, really good. We've put him in high leverage situations, not late inning situations, but when they need kind of the water to be turned off, they'll bring in Randy Rodriguez. And for the most part, he's done a really good job this year. So would you make him the 8th guy? What would you do with Camilo? What would Camilo's mindset be if you said, look, man, you're not even the 8th guy anymore. Like you're the 9th. You were the 9th guy. You're out of that. You were the 8th guy. You're out of that. They don't really like having a set. I mean, Rogers is a lot of times the 7th inning guy, but they might put Rogers in the 5th. They might put Randy Rodriguez in the 5th or the 6th. I mean, they just, when they need the bleeding to stop, they'll put one of those guys in there. So that might be a situation where Duvall's in a high leverage situation. It's just not a late inning high leverage situation. And do I even trust him in that situation? So it's going to be a quandary, even though we're 10 games into the year and we're not panicking over Duvall, but that's 2 outings in a row where you're like, the dude's not throwing strikes. And is there anything more maddening as a team or as a fan? Like, I this isn't true, but it's like you almost want them to be like, dude, just put it up there. If they hit it 500 feet, fine. I just don't want the slow death of walk. Like, drives you crazy. When relievers come in and throw ball and can't throw strikes, you're like, want to turn into the Incredible Hulk or something, man. Makes you crazy. Anyway, all right. So that's what's going on as far as the Giants are concerned. Root going to the mound tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be out at the yard for Verlander. I'll get in there early. I'll get a bunch of stuff for you, so make sure you turn on your alerts tomorrow. As far as the NFL is concerned, what is today, the 8th? We're 16 days away, 2 weeks and 2 days away from the NFL draft, and the latest mock from Mel Kiper. I don't like this pick. The latest Mel Kiper Jr. mock draft pick for the Niners is right there. Will Johnson, corner, Michigan. This is what he says. There's well-documented roster turnover in San Francisco. You don't say. And Javarius Ward is among the departures. Ronaldo Green has blah, 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 but what will the 49ers do with the other? Could slot guy, it just shows you he doesn't know anything about the 49ers. Could slot guy Diamond or Lenore move outside? Who's going to tell him? Am I going to tell him or are you going to tell him? He plays outside, dude. And then when it's a nickel situation, he moves inside. Who's going to tell him? Anyway, with new signee Trey Brown, earn the role and stay healthy, or could this be a golden chance to line a potential shutdown CB1, quarterback 1 in Johnson? Missed time last season, toe injury, blah, 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 blah. It's not that Will Johnson isn't a really nice player. And early in this process, we had seen Will Johnson mocked to a lot of teams within like the top 5 or 6. He has good size. You look at that, 6'2". Like, it's not that I don't like the guy. I do. I really do. But I'm looking at this going, and maybe you just don't want to be locked into one position. And the guys that I liked along the offensive and defensive lines, like I see in my mock drafts, guys like Mason Graham and Membu and Will Campbell, those guys are all gone in this scenario. So I get it. And you're not going to reach for that kind of a guy. I don't know that Mel Kiper does a whole lot of trading in that scenario. I'd probably trade back. This guy's are really, really good. But the way I see it right now is Ronaldo Green starting outside in 1. Diamondor Lenore starts outside in the base. And then he moves inside on passing downs. And I agree with him. They don't really have anybody to do that. But I'm so stuck on needing offensive and defensive line help. But that's maybe my thing. But look, if they took him and he's 6'2", and all of a sudden Will Johnson's playing, but then what I have an issue with is he's the 11th overall pick. My starters, maybe he takes over for Ronaldo Green. Maybe he's better than Ronaldo Green, but I just took Ronaldo Green in the 2nd round last year. 2nd round. So Ronaldo Green should be a starting corner as a 2nd rounder. So Green and Lenore, Dima Lenore, are my starters. And I need a 3rd corner, which not to say that it's not important, and it's an outside corner because Dima moves inside on passing downs or on 3rd downs, but I really, that sounds luxurious to me, I guess, is what I'm saying. I got 2 starting corners. I need a 3rd. Trey Brown is hurt a lot, and I've said that before Mel Kiper even said that right there. So don't love it, but okay, I understand it. But the 2nd round pick is the one that gets to me, because if this guy gets to the 2nd round, this is the steal of the draft. Kenneth Grant, he says, he must be following. We know what the logic is. Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins released, blah, blah, blah. Grant would clog up the middle, 6'4", 330. His explosiveness, good instincts. Hitting on a day 2 pick would help San Francisco, blah, 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 blah. I just didn't think that Kenneth Grant would be at 43. Now, maybe he's hearing something. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But these guys are generally pretty good about not necessarily getting the right players to the right teams. But Mel Kiper generally goes, there you go, something like, I don't know, every year, 27 for 32, 28 for 32 in terms of putting the right players in the 1st round. And so if he's saying that Kenneth Grant is now a second rounder after many people had him mocked even as high as 11 to the 49ers, certainly he was going in the teens and the early 20s. And a lot of people have said, at 6'4", 330, I've heard Daniel Jeremiah say this, that he's not a clogger. He's quick. He's a penetrator. He's all these different things. And so I would have thought, oh, he's not making it to 43. And I've seen Walter Nolan make it to 43 in some mock drafts. I don't see it. If they could get one of those two guys in the second round, then I wouldn't have as big of a problem or any problem with Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, being that. And then all of a sudden you can get, Grant at that point, and then you go for some offensive line and then back to defense, linebacker, all those kind of things. So, look, if his mock draft is Grant and Johnson, that's pretty good first two rounds. I just don't think that Grant is going to make it that far. I think he's far too talented. There's a lot of defensive tackles in this draft, and some are the quick penetrating type like Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, and some are the Grant type, the cloggers inside, but he is not just a clogger. There's a bunch of guys. Like in my mock, I took a guy named Jordan Phillips, who's a 20-year-old kid out of Maryland. And to this point, because I waited so long on defensive linemen, to this point, I think it was the third round, he's 6'3", 320, and he's not much of a pass rusher, but you're not going to run against the 49ers if he's in the middle of your defense, Ted Washington. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. But Grant is a guy that, according to a lot of people, can not only stop the run, but then he can push the pocket and give you a little bit in the pass. Now, maybe he's not going to get 10 sacks. I'm not saying that, but he could get 5, and he could really push the pocket. I mean, I'm thinking, I said this in my mock 1.0 when I took him in the first round, actually after trading down. I think I got him at like 17. But you're hoping he's Dexter Lawrence of the Giants. I mean, that's what you're looking for. But so there's Mel Kiper Jr. Mel Kiper Jr. There's his mock draft. Again, first round pick. Let me try this one more time. Where is that? First round pick, Will Johnson. Michigan is what he's got up there today. This is his final. I think it's his final before the day. Doesn't he do one the day before? I thought he did. Maybe this is his final. And then he had Kenneth Grant going to the 49ers, which would be amazing. So that's Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock. What do you think of Mel's mock? And I do have my 2.0 up at johnlundunleashed.com so you can see. Oh, that's the first one. I have another one. Where is it? You must not have the thing. Anyway, that was my first. I have a 2.0 up at johnlundunleashed.com, and if you want to check that out. And I did go a different route. I went Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, Texas. I think he moves to right tackle. Colton McKivitz moves into left guard. I did not address the center position, not because of what John and Kyle said at the NFL meetings in Florida. Remember, lying season, and so they were saying all these nice things about Jake Brendel, knowing damn well that he was getting pushed back in the pass game and on his butt a lot. He was the 12th best run blocking center, which I found to be curious, but okay. But from a pass blocking standpoint, between he and Aaron Banks, they just gave up way too much penetration and middle pocket push for a guy who's barely 6'1" in the pocket, and that was a major problem. But as we look at the 49ers and we try to address everything in the draft, even though John Lynch said, well, this is what we're going to do, it's just not realistic to think. Like I said, the best draft that the 49ers ever had was 1986. And guys like Charles Haley were in that draft, and Tim McKyer and Don Griffin. And I mean, there's just Tom Rathman, like all this. I mean, it was an amazing draft. And they got 8 good players out of that draft. They got 6 legit starters, 1 Hall of Famer in Charles Haley, and 2 guys who were rotational pieces. So 6 great players, 6 starting caliber players, 1 Hall of Famer, and 2 rotational players, guys like Larry Roberts were in that draft. So that's what they did. And that's the best draft that the 49ers have ever had. And, that's the kind of draft they'd have to do. So they're not going to be able to solve everything in one fell swoop. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, you want a tackle so that you can have a future left tackle, and that's what Banks would possibly be. You need a corner. You need a linebacker. You probably need running back and wide receiver depth, if not a wide receiver who can start in the stead until Ayuk comes aboard. Maybe that's going to be Robinson, so maybe they just don't go early on that. Some people have talked about it. So there's all these different things that they possibly need. Defensive line is absolutely ravaged. So they need maybe 2 inside, an edge guy. Like, all these things can't be accomplished. So when I was looking at the center position in my mock 1.0, I took a center kid out of Georgia named Jared Wilson. The second one, I was like, I can't do this. Like, there's no way. So anyway, my 2.0 is up there as well if you'd like to take a look at my mock draft. NFL Mel mock 2.0. By the way, I just want to, for my own clarification, edification, we are 16 days away from the NFL draft. I'm going to be down there at 49ers. Not at their HQ is where we would go on KBR, but we'll be down there hearing from the players, hearing from John and Kyle, all those kind of things. So I'll be down there and I'll document everything and I'll send out a bunch of videos and everything else. But I have a large affinity for the NFL draft. And so I want to make sure that I'm not giving you stuff that you don't want, because in the next 16 days, everybody's mock comes out and all these rumors that I hear, I'll be reporting those. Are you into that or not? I'm into it. I'm not going to Krug it. Like the other day, I tuned into our bottom of the pint and Krug was doing the Giants game and he had a whole big, like, 7-round mock draft during it. And I'm not going to do that, but I do love that. So anyway, what else is going on? Let me check the chat line before I get to the NCAA final. And I got a double Caboose today. Double Caboose. So you absolutely positively cannot leave me, because a double Caboose to everybody. Good morning, DC. The 1420 is here as well. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Brendel at center sucks. I don't disagree with you at all. I just don't know if they're going to be able to address everything. Maybe they could. Maybe they could take Larry's guy, Willie Lampkin, all 5'10" and 280 of them to play center. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, that's my concept here, Mark. Draft an offensive lineman to protect your soon-to-be 55, and I would say plus $1 million quarterback. That's what I would love to do, but in my stinking mock draft, the 2 offensive linemen that I wanted, Membu and Campbell, were gone. So I did trade down one time, and I allot myself one trade in that Pro Football Focus draft simulator. I traded down one time with Atlanta from 11 to 15, and I took Kelvin Banks, who is not my favorite, but I think offensive line early, because I think the quality drops off in the offensive line, and then defensive line, I think it's incredibly deep. I just don't think Grant's going to make the 43, but if he did, I would run the card up there. Like, I would fly to Green Bay and run the card up there. By the way, what's it going to be like? I don't know I guess the weather will be decent. But the draft, does that blow anybody else away? And I guess, I covered the draft before in New York City, and I never thought it would leave New York City. But the fact that like a couple of years ago, I was in Detroit and they had a few million people over the weekend, I think it opened my eyes in Nashville, which is the bachelorette capital of the world. And I bet they hated the fact that about 2 million people, I think, were in downtown Nashville, and they were interviewing all these girls who were there for bachelorette parties. And the girls were like, what in the hell? Who let the Neanderthals out? Like, what is going on? Like, they were so pissed because it's normally like springtime. It's springtime. And so there's a lot of bachelorette parties that happened in Nashville, which is some reason the bachelorette capital of the world, I would think. I mean, Vegas is probably up there and everything else, but they call themselves the bachelorette capital of the world. Lots of people love to go to Nashville. It is an amazing city, but you're thinking you didn't know that there was an NFL draft. And so in the spring, you're going to have your bachelorette party, your downtown Nashville, and all of a sudden, just hordes of NFL fans from every single team is sucking down beer and being obnoxious. And you're like, what is going on? But I give the NFL a ton of credit. I mean, the draft thing from going, remember 1983 and ESPN shows those things, and it's Pete Rozelle like in a room, and he's got like cardboard names and he's putting them up on the board. The Baltimore Colts select John Elway, quarterback, Stanford. It's like, so what it's turned into, what it was, what they kept up doing during the pandemic, doing it from everybody's house and in Roger Goodell's basement and all that kind of stuff, to now where they take this thing on the road everywhere, and it doesn't matter where it is. Detroit, Nashville, Chicago. They're going to have it in Green Bay this year. I mean, they're going to, the population, I don't know what the population of Green Bay is. It's not very much. And they're going to probably pull in 1 million people, or maybe it'll be even more, and it's going to just be jam packed. And you bring all these, these VIPs, and they announce the picks and all this kind of crazy stuff. It's like, it's turned into this entire like jewel of the off season for the NFL. And then they turned it into a way. Some marketing genius and financial genius said, you know what? We can take this thing at a Radio City Music Hall in New York, and we can take this all over the country, and we can make a lot of money for the team. Because you know how much goes into Nashville, Detroit, Green Bay? Like, this is going to be the more than Green Bay makes in an entire year. Like this NFL draft weekend, whatever revenue Green Bay normally gets, there's going to be people waiting out. Like, it's going to be crazy. Like the restaurants, the bars, all these kind of places, taverns, all these, like, everything in that town is going to be jam-packed. The restaurants, I don't know. I've been to Lambeau Field, but I don't remember anything great being around there, like food-wise. It's going to be like, these people are going to make more money in 3 days than they've made all year, that city. Their mayor is just like, bring it on. My God, man. Just crazy. Anyway, Yeah, the draft has become this whole crazy thing. Who knew? Who knew that it was going to be like that? Anyway, I agree, man. The 1-4-20. We all see Bredel on his ass, but Kyle sees it. They're just being nice. Like I said, I don't believe one word that they're saying about Jake Brendel. Pro Football Focus isn't everything, but they do say he's a good run blocker, and okay. But I just know if you go back and you watch the pass game, he's just pushed back constantly in the lap of Brock Purdy. They get middle pressure, he and Aaron Banks, all the time. Brock struggled with it, and although Brock is going to protect his guys, I'm here to tell you, and you saw the same thing that I saw, that it's really hard, and this is why he was a 7th-round pick, for a guy who's barely 6'1" to handle middle pressure, not see things. And Brock said during the season, not only that Rams throw that I bring up constantly where Jauan Jennings was bracketed in the most important game of the season if they would have had any chance, which they wouldn't have anyway, but still at that point of the season, they kind of had a flicker, and he threw a ball blind. He said it down the right sideline that Jauan Jennings couldn't get to. He was bracketed. It was intercepted. And he said it other times during the season he was throwing blind. Well, when he's throwing blind, it doesn't mean he's closing his eyes because he thinks that's going to work better. He's saying he's throwing blind because he can't see over the line. And it's not that Brock can get outside sometimes, but let's just do a little bit of deductive reasoning here. It's not Trent Williams. That's not where it's coming from. You can bitch and moan about Colton McKivitz all you want. He's not bad in pass pro. He's actually better than Mike McGlinchey in pass pro. So, all right, it's coming from there sometimes. It's not like he's Trent Williams, but it's coming from there sometimes. Dominic Pooney's pretty good. So where do you think it's coming from? Part of it's 4 years and $77 million. Are you insane, Green Bay? It's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Banks, but it was those two in combination, and that's where a lot of the pressure was coming from. If you go back and watch games, that's where it's coming from. And Brock either has got to escape to his right or try to step up. And if he can't see, he's throwing the ball blind, which he admitted to doing. And that's a problem. And so, as you said, if you're going to pay a quarterback $55+ million, which they are, and I think even closer to 60, then you might want to do that. But there are so many things to fix in this offseason. And it's not a deep center draft. Even the kid that I drafted in my mock 1.0, Jared Wilson, he's a center from Georgia. He started one season at Georgia. And center, they got all the line calls and all those kind of things. Do I want to put a rookie in at center? I don't. That's why, when the 49ers took a step back and it became very, very evident that they weren't going to spend this offseason, I think there were two things that I would have done in this offseason, even if I wasn't going to spend like they didn't spend. One was do a better job initially with Dre Greenlaw, because we know the story and you went and you flew there and you did all these things. But I know for a fact that they were thinking along the lines of $8 to $9 million because you're coming off the Achilles, 1 year, make good. That was their initial stance. And then Denver hit them and a couple other teams, like I said, after those linebackers signed the night before free agency started, guys like Ernest Jones and Nick Bolton, you know the story there, and the leverage changed. That's when the 49ers stance changed, but it was too late. So that was one. And then the second would be Drew Dahlman, because Dahlman, the former Stanford product, who's really good in zone schemes, was in Atlanta. And I don't know, maybe they did make him an offer. I don't know. But 3-42 at the center position right now, for as much as many things as a center does and as important as a center is to the overall success of the line, I would have paid Drew Dahlman 3-42 and not thought one thing about it. Not one thing about it, because that's not an outrageous contract. It's not. And that's the agent version of the contract. So it's probably not even that much guarantee. I don't know what the guarantees. I didn't look at the deal, but it's not an outrageous deal. And you don't generally want a rookie center. Now, look, guys like Creed Humphrey have gone into Kansas City and Tyler Linderbaum went into Baltimore. And there's been guys like that who have done it. But by and large, you'd rather have a veteran center if you could help not having a rookie. Everybody's a rookie sometime, but that would have been a great get. Like, look, sorry. So I don't necessarily believe they came out in the NFL meetings in Miami Beach last week, or Palm Beach, I guess it was, and said, oh yeah, we like him. Well, that just means that you probably don't like a center well enough in the draft. And there are so many other positions that you have to fill that you're going to live with them. And the other side of it is, like I said, it's lying season 24/7, 365 in all of sports, not just around the draft and not just around free agency, but whatever is the advantage of downgrading your player. Yeah, Jake Brendel's not getting it done. We got to get an upgrade. I mean, you're never going to say that. You're always going to try to maintain leverage at the player from a business standpoint, and you're always going to say nice things about the player just in case he has to come back. Yeah, Jake Brendel stinks. Oh, hey, Jake, we didn't mean that in the offseason. We love you, baby. Let's roll. Like, everybody expects like some kind of truth serum from players, coaches, GMs. They said a nice thing. You heard what he said. He said he likes him. He said, when's he going to say he doesn't like him? That's like saying that you didn't have a successful surgery. How did the surgery go on player A's Tommy John? Oh, unbelievable. He's going to be back in no time. It's an amazing surgery. How'd that knee surgery go for the quarterback? Oh, my God. Incredible. The best surgery I think I've ever seen. It was a work of art. Like, when have you ever heard anybody, unless like Steve Kerr said his back was all messed up, remember a few years ago? Like, yeah, after the fact, you may say something like, yeah, there was some hang-ups or something, maybe. But like the day after, oh, my God, greatest surgery ever. So nobody says anything negative about anybody. Doesn't serve anybody a purpose until like it's totally at the end. And then somebody's just trying to get out. Like Jimmy Butler was trying to get out of Miami. And he's just like, sorry, I hate this. You know, Pat Riley at the beginning, right after Jimmy Butler said, I want to be traded. Remember that early in the season? We're not trading Jimmy Butler. Love Jimmy Butler. Yeah, you're trying to keep his leverage up. You knew you were going to trade him, but you can't be like, yeah, Jimmy's such a pain in the ass. Come get him. I don't even care what we get. What? I'm not going to do that. Never do that. Let's see. Appleton. You're talking about Appleton, Wisconsin? I have no idea. Yeah, no kidding. That blows my mind, Skills, every single time you see it. Like, Tommy John's not in the Hall of Fame. He's got a surgery named after him, and there would be no pitching in the league without him. So he was the first one. I would agree with you, Aaron, 100%. Pressure to hit on 3 linemen in the draft, Dealman depth. I'm just saying, look, it's not my money, so it's really easy for me to say this. There's not a replacement for Greenlaw on the roster. I've said this many, many times. There's a lot of linebackers coming out, and I'm sure a bunch of them will be good. The problem is the adjustment for a linebacker in the NFL is not going forwards. Lots of guys can do that. Shed blocks, hit running back, fine. But in the league, what you have to do is you have to go backwards better than you have to go forwards. In other words, it's a passing league. And a lot of quick stuff, crossers, those kind of things. And if they don't think you can cover Devondre Campbell, then they're going to come after you. And all we saw from Devondre Campbell last year was the back of his jersey. Campbell 59, Campbell 59, Campbell 59. I saw it constantly. Well, that's the problem. Fred Warner is the prototypical linebacker. He played basically the star position at BYU, which is more of a safety combination position. So the Niners, it's amazing that he could always go backwards and cover. Now they teach him to become forward, which is the easier of the two things. And he's got such great instincts. He's fast. He's perfect. And so you're looking for that guy. And that's just really difficult. And Dre Greenlaw turned into that guy, even though Dre Greenlaw coming out of Arkansas, I remember talking to Krug about him. He ran like low 4.7s. And then I think later on, and again, an injury or something, but they snagged him because I think he ran like a 4.72, and he's faster than that. And he's got better instincts than that, but he can cover, he can run, he can do all those things. A lot of linebackers come into this league, a lot of young guys, hey, I can move forward, I can hit, I can shed blocks. They talk about that all the time, but can you cover? Because most of the time, that's going to be great on 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3 or first down or whatever. That's awesome. But it's a passing league. Can you cover backs and tight ends? Elite backs and tight ends? Or are you going to be a liability and therefore we can play on 1st and 2nd down, but we can't play on 3rd down? And the reality is teams are throwing on any down now. So you're going to be exposed. I mean, last year, the game plan, part of the game plan against the 49ers became so evident defensively was if 59's on the field, we are attacking him. We're putting guys into his zone, tight ends, running backs, constantly, like I said, the back, Campbell 59, constantly. So if you can't do that, that's a major problem. So that was, to me, that was a major misread of the market by the 49ers. I get why they did it, because they thought to themselves, who else is going to want a guy off an Achilles? Like, we're in multiple years. What are you kidding me? Double digit? Nah. This is going to be a 1-year make good. We talked about it. They thought it was going to be a 1-year make good, and that didn't happen. So that would have been one. And then the second would have been, just because you look ahead to this draft, the best center in this draft is a kid out of Georgia, Jared Wilson, 1 year starting. And you really don't want that. I mean, yeah, look, you played in the SEC. I get it. It's high-profile football, all those kind of things. It's not the NFL. And they're going to throw different looks at you, and you're a rookie trying to go, okay, I've got the line call here. What in the hell was that? And so I don't really love that idea. So Dahlman would have been great. Bring him home, Stanford. And once you saw the number, and again, maybe they just never made a call, but 3 and 42, if I was the Niners, I'd have thought to myself, I'd have talked to his agent and said, hey, just, let us know. Let us know when you get your best offer. Not that we can match it, but if the kid wants to come home, I don't know, maybe Drew Dahlman didn't want to come home, but if the kid wants to come home, let us know what the neighborhood is and maybe we can match it. And that's not, to me, that's not splurging. I mean, you gave, like I said, you gave a blocking 3rd string tight end 3 and 20. And yeah, that's not 42. I understand that, but God, you're halfway there. Wouldn't you rather have a center than a third string blocking tight end? I would think. I know it's important to Kyle. I understand that, but the Charlie Warner position is worth 3 years and $20 million when you could have a center at 3 and 42. Fairly important. All right, went on a tangent about that. NCAA men's final last night between Georgia and Houston. Maybe it's just me, but I tuned in last night and I was watching it, but I was watching the Giants too. And I told you the story last year. This was in 2001 when I was covering the Mariners and the A's and Ichiro's first game, and we had Duke on the screen there, and we're all watching it. And there was a time in my life where there's no way I'm missing the NCAA final, or at least I'm not flipping channels on it. I'm keeping it right there. And it's not that it wasn't a good game last night, but after my brackets are gone, after my betting purposes are gone for the NCAA tournament, it's just okay. Like I said, I start watching college basketball intently in February so that I can have a decent idea in my bracket. And I think I finished like at 89%, but I had Duke winning the whole thing. So I was out and I didn't win any money, but I had a decent bracket year. And it's not that I don't like it. I love the opening weekend. I love when they get to Sweet 16. I love the regional finals, 8-4, because it means so much to these guys. But then like last night, it was, I guess what I didn't do is I didn't make it a massive priority. Like I said, I checked in on it. I knew it was going on. I would watch it for a while, but it didn't compel me to the point where it's like, I'm going to sit down, I got my dinner, I'm going to watch it in front of the TV. That used to be like appointment programming for me. So I'd love to know your thoughts, because in the Bay Area, generally, this is how we thought as radio guys in the Bay Area, that, I don't know, people aren't really into college sports all that much. I mean, Stanford, Cal, they don't get major numbers on the radio or TV around here. There's a lot of people coming in and out of the market. It's not that there's not interest in college football. There's a lot, but not maybe as high as some markets. And then college basketball is just like, and everybody does love the tournament. We fill out brackets, but then once our bracket is kind of busted, then it's like, like I'll watch it if it's on. But like yesterday, I knew it was NCAA final night. I knew it was the final Monday of everything and all those kind of things. And I was like, well, there's a Giants game too. And so I was kind of flipping back and forth. And, I saw the end of the game, and I saw, Houston Bullet lead and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a Florida fan. I'm not a Houston fan. I really didn't have, obviously I didn't have a horse in the race. And so it wasn't like I had something. I didn't bet on the game. So I guess I didn't have it there. Maybe if Duke was in it, because even though I had picked them, I probably would root against them, because I'm just not. So, you got an evil empire in there, the Yankees, the Cowboys, Duke, Notre Dame. Like a lot of people will tune in, and I don't know what the ratings were last night, but a lot of people will tune in because Duke's playing either root for or against them. So when you look at it's Houston versus Florida, Phi Slamma Jamma versus like Florida's known for football more than it is basketball. And I know, Al Horford went there. They won a championship, Corey Brewer and 𝐬𝐿 Noah and all that kind of stuff. Like I get it. They've been good at basketball before. I'm not saying they haven't been, but I don't know. I don't think as Florida as this basketball powerhouse. I think them as a SEC football team. And I think of Houston as Phi Slamma Jamma with Hakeem, who, by the way, did you see that video the other day? Hakeem 𝐿ajuwon is at the game and he's trying to walk onto the court. He's a 7-foot man. And this security's like, no. And he's looking at him like, sorry, I don't want to go to this card, but man, you don't know who I am? Like, he's Hakeem 𝐿ajuwon. He's like Houston basketball. He's like royalty. And they're like, no, sir, you cannot be on the floor. So I'd be interested what your night was like last night. Did you watch? Do you make it a big, because you did fill out a bracket after all and everything. Maybe you did if you had Houston, I guess, or Florida as your final and it meant something to you. But just in general, yeah, they did choke. I mean, what they have, like a 12-point lead? I mean, Duke choked against them. They choked against Florida. Wild. I did see the end of it. It was good. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was just like, I wasn't like, oh, I got to watch it. Like in the past, it was like, do not bother me. You tell your significant other, like, do not bother me. I'm absolutely. The Niners sit on draft picks. If we hit this year, it'll be 2 years. Yeah, see, that's the way. I've told you this before, and I don't want to depressingly put this up because you asked, I may have saved this. Their picks in 22 and 23. And that's why they had to, I've said this before, that's why the 49ers had to purge. It's, guys getting cheap and they don't want to spend money and this and this and this. No, they're supposed to have cheap labor first round picks right now, and they don't. So 24, they hit. 23, I've shown you this before. Look at 22. Drake Jackson stinks. They didn't have a first round pick because of Trey. Drake Jackson stinks. So those are two guys that you should have on your roster that are contributing for cheap labor. They're not. Ty Davis Price, third round. Danny Gray. Spencer Burford. I mean, that's through the fourth round. Those should be starting caliber players at the very least. They're on special teams. and they're not making anything. Nick Zakelj, no. Kalia Davis, no. Castro Fields didn't make the team. Purdy doesn't save the draft. I mean, you just blew a bunch of picks there that are players that should be making very little money and producing at a high level. The next year, Jared Brown, jury's out. Jake Moody, most people want him out. Latu was a third rounder, gone. Luter Jr. has been hurt. Beal's done nothing. Winters had an opportunity, didn't take advantage of it. Willis stinks. Bell's gone. Jalen Graham tried, didn't. So you got basically out of all those drafts, you got Brock Purdy. Like that's what you got. And so there's a lot of guys on the list, and I'm not concerned as much about 5th, 6th, 7th rounders. Those are dart throws. And these are the first picks are lottery tickets. The late picks are dart throws. And especially in 2022, when you trade the pick, and then it's Drake Jackson, Ty Davis Price, Danny Gray. Like that's a first rounder, a second rounder, and 2/3 that are complete bombs. And then Burford's still hanging around, but it would have been nice if he made that block in the Super Bowl. He's really nothing. So that's a 4th rounder. Womack's not on the team, 5th rounder. Zakel's hanging around, but you get to the 6th round, whatever. But I'm talking about a first rounder, a second rounder, 2/3, and a 4th in 2022 that are nothing. And then in 2023, again, you don't have a first rounder, you don't have a second rounder. So those guys should be cheap labor and starting. J.R. Brown, I don't know that he's going to make it as a free safety. I mean, I want to like him, but there's just too many mistakes. Jake Moody, to me, you never take a 3rd round kicker anyway. Cam Latu, so your 1st, 2nd, 3rd round picks there, not great. So that's why they're in the position they're in the position, and they're in. And then you bring up, and a great point, last year they did a really nice job. I don't know what Pearsall is going to be, but I know that Dominic Pooney is going to be good. I think Renardo Green is a starting corner in this league and played pretty well last year. Malik Mustafa, I think, would have beat out Hufanga anyway, so that's not a loss at all. Mustafa was going to be the strong safety. So that's a really nice pick. So you go on down the line, you've got some good players. You've got to do that again this year. But the thing is, you look at 2024 draft and you say to yourself, that's a pretty good draft. Pretty good draft. That wouldn't be good enough for this year. Like, it wouldn't be good enough. You got to hit on that first rounder at 11. You have to absolutely nail that pick. Like Mel Kiper says, Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, and the first 2 picks. And he has Grant going 43. Like, those guys have got to be almost right out of the gate Pro Bowl caliber players. I mean, that's what you got to have that. You got to nail about 6 guys out of this draft that are starters. You have nobody along the defensive line right now. Nobody, Jim Harbaugh. And a linebacker. And I mean, there's positions, and Kyle said this in Florida, they have positions open right now that absolutely, positively rookies have to come in and fill and play well. That's a hell of a lot of pressure on a rookie. Like I said, lottery tickets early, dart throws late, and you just don't know. And even the first round is 50-50. It's hard, man. Really hard. What else do we got? Let's see. Yeah, Danny Gray. I mean, just a killer, right? Danny Gray existed. Fairly sure Danny Gray also forgot he existed and just sits around watching cartoons. It's very possible. And he's one of those guys that's like, Kyle's like, oh, we need some speed for this offense. And just nothing. What did he catch? Like 1 in the preseason? Didn't he catch 1 from Trey in the preseason or something like that, maybe? Could be wrong in that, but my God. Oh, speaking of Trey Lance, official. Did you see this? I want to throw that at you. Dun, da, 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 bolt up. And there's Trey Lance. If I see him, it's like, look, I don't want any hype. Just let me sign a contract. Like, you don't have to put a picture out, I promise. Let's just not do this. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to make the team. I don't know who their backup is. Could he be their backup? I doubt it. One other quick thing before we get to the double caboose today. If you're joining us late, there you go. That is the new logos, and it is official. The City Connects dropped today, and it's an ode to the musical history and the history in general of the city. I think they could have gone absolutely bananas on these things. What a great concept to embrace the culture of the city and the musical culture of the city. And somebody stepped in and said, let's do a Wacky Giants AI thing, but we've got to keep orange and black. And I think they should have went absolutely crazy like the Padres did when they did the yellow, the pink, the green, like the lime green hat. Not even lime green. What is that green? With the pink SD, they totally threw out the black or the brown and yellow fecal matter colors. I think the Giants should have done the same thing. Like, I get it. Orange and black is your thing. But when you're trying to embrace the city in a kind of a 60s and a musical vibe, they should have just went crazy on it. It would have been really, really cool. The potential for this would have been amazing. They should have brought in somebody from like the minor leagues and just absolutely nailed that thing. But they didn't. They're like, got to be orange and black, and we can't be too crazy. So I'll be interested. Would you buy that? I guess the question would be, would you buy these? Like, are you going to buy one? Like the City Connects, I never liked those. But then they started winning, and all of a sudden you'd see them pop up. Like, maybe I'm being too harsh on it, but that's not one I would buy. Not a good look, I don't think. But it could be wrong. Could be wrong. Maybe people are just going to embrace it. And you know what? The bottom line is, if they win, no one will care. Like, if they win, it's like, yeah, okay. All right, let's get to some Caboose things. Should I put this up on the screen? I'm going to put this up on the screen for 5 seconds with no verbal addition whatsoever. That is all. Oh, boy. I said I wasn't going to say anything. Oh, boy. All right. It is time for your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol. In fact, you know what? I'm going to write an open and produce an open for the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol right after the show because, like I said, it's got in the sky, whatever it is. And I get in trouble for it every time I use it. So I've got to come up with I got to get a new bed and rewrite this thing and have it voiced. I'll do that today because I've said that. And I like having the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol open. And I don't have it, and it makes me mad because it makes it so that the production value of the show goes down, and I can't have that. Cannot have that. So here are 2 Caboose pistols. Now, the first one, which one do we want to do first? Let's do this Jessica Simpson one. So remember last week I popped this up on the screen, and it was Jessica Simpson, and it was on TMZ, and I didn't want to read any more into the story. And it basically said that she drinks the sperm of snake so that it makes her vocal cords good. And I didn't know that she sang anymore. I didn't know she was on tour, and I didn't know what she was doing. But apparently for her, and I'll take her word for it because my voice is a little scratchy. I could use something, but I'm just not going to go to that extreme. I'd rather lose my voice first. I'm not drinking snake sperm. But she doubled down on it. So the story was on TMZ that it helps her vocal cords. She's a big fan of it, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody from TMZ, which I give it up to these guys, man, they are relentless. Like she's walking through LAX. And I like to think that I have a lot of patience, but nobody likes being in airports in general and then to have to talk to people who are following you. So I give her a ton of credit for just allowing the guy to follow her because I would have gotten really frustrated and gone, can you get out of my face? I don't want to talk about snake sperm. But here she is doubling down on it. She loves snake sperm and swears by it in terms of her vocal cords. Here is Jessica Simpson.
Muse on something.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Now that you know what you're drinking, are you gonna keep drinking it?
What, the Red Bull?
No, the snake semen.
Oh, of course.
You gonna keep drinking it?
Me? Yeah.
All right.
Snake gourd.
Does it have any other benefits that you know of?
I mean, it just really clears my throat. I'm just a great singer when I have snake sperm.
All right. Seems like a really good endorsement opportunity.
Well, I don't even, I mean, I can't even read the bottles, so I don't know how good I would be on some infomercial.
But would you consider that?
Maybe I'll make my own.
Develop your own brand. I was going to say that. Are you? Would you do that?
Sure.
All right.
Sure. I should do that.
Anna gonna show you hers.
So does it really taste like honey though?
It does.
Does it?
Like a really dark.
Do you have any on you?
I don't.
I'll take a sip if you did.
No, I couldn't carry it on.
On camera, all right.
Unbelievable. I'd take a sip if you did. I mean, she's a lot nicer than I would be. It's like, look, dude, like you're following me into like the restricted area. Stop it. I doubt it tastes like honey. You know, when lots of people say, well, it tastes like this or it tastes like that. Whatever. I would just know too much. And then the fact that she said, maybe I'll start making my own. Exactly how are you going to do that? Anyway, all right. I give her a ton of credit. She's a lot nicer than I would have been. I'll take her word for it because, like I said, I'm in an industry in which I would like right now, for example, I'll give you a great example right here. I got a bunch of stuff sitting right here that you don't even know about. But like, look I got the Chloraseptic, I got the Mucinex, the sore throat stuff. Like I'm constantly doing this stuff, right? Like, yeah, I have this stuff all the time. I have a plastic bag that I put in my backpack full of like cough drops and things like that for exact things about my throat. So look, I'm all about it. I need to have clarity when it comes to my voice, even though, you know, it's not like I have this deep blah. I'm not James Earl Jones sitting over here or John Facenda, anything like that. But still, you know, whatever it is that I have that I was given, that, you know, I got to use it. So I have all sorts of things like this. I'm constantly popping the sugar-free vitamin C's and all those kind of things and trying to do my best in terms of keeping my voice at a decent level, but I don't care. I'll lose my voice before I'm drinking snake sperm. I don't care if it tastes like honey. She was saying it tastes like dark honey. No chance. No chance. But I do give her credit because she's a lot nicer than I would have been to that TMZ guy. It's like, bro, we are now entering the restricted area, and you're asking me if I have snake sperm on me so that you can have a taste. Like, go away. Stop it. All right, tomorrow I will have the Sweet Clean Family Friendly Open. And finally, oh, yes. Let me see here. Does she have it? See, this is why Joy's great. Does she have it along with Chicken of the Sea? That's just weird, man. It's just weird. I just couldn't get past it. Like, just don't tell me what it is then. Like, here, there's this great thing, Jessica, for your vocal cords. I'm not going to tell you what it is or where it comes from, but it's amazing. And then she drinks it, and she's like, oh, this is amazing. Tastes like honey. Okay, let's just keep it like that. No one tell Jessica what this is. Because like most people be like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if it makes my skin better, if it makes my vocal cords better. Like, I'm sorry. That's just not happening. And I've got to know something. Like, I'm sure the, Food and Drug Administration, they're like, yes, this is approved. No, it's not. Like, you don't know what you're drinking. All right, and there's finally this for the Sweet Clean Family Friendly Caboose Pistol Day. I'm ashamed to say I didn't do this, but I've been on a team that actually did this, so I didn't realize the legal situation here. And now that somebody has explained it, yeah, this is probably not something that would be legal to do, especially in today's day and age. Like, you used to be able to do all sorts of funny pranks and everything. Probably not funny in any day and age, but I love the news stories. I tell you this all the time. It's not only the stories a lot of times, it's the news stories about these things. So here is a prank pulled by a baseball team, and that baseball team, I think it's a high school baseball team. Yeah, they've all been suspended.
So tonight, a Rio Rancho high school student is in some pretty serious trouble after he was accused of a really disgusting prank during a JV baseball game. You might recall earlier this week, we told you how the entire Rio Rancho high school JV baseball team was suspended after one of their players allegedly urinated in the La Cueva team's water jug during a game. Several players and coaches from La Cueva then drank the water from that jug. Tonight, the player in question is facing 15 counts of battery. Rio Rancho police say they've forwarded those charges to juvenile probation and parole. We have not yet been told the identity of the player because police say he is only 16 years old. At this point, the Rio Rancho JV baseball team is still suspended, and a spokesperson for the school district says the investigation.
So it used to be back in the day, maybe I'm 100% wrong in this, but back in the day, you could have a little bit of fun. Your rival high school, you would do stuff. You might paint something like a statue. We've heard of things where, somebody takes a mascot. I mean, that always used to be something. But peeing in someone's jug, like I said, I just showed you all the different things I spray in my mouth, Jessica Simpson. Then, I've always got one of these things going on. A lot of people do. And can you imagine, like, you're hot, you just were in the cage or something, you grab your thing and you're like, what in the what? Like, was that Dumb and Dumber? Like, the police officer, and he drinks the urine, is like, that whole thing. That's a great scene, by the way. But, and you're just like, whatever. And especially if you had, like, this is another thing I do. I know this is probably not something I should do, but like, I'll do flavored water. If I get bored of flavored water, this has got like energy in it. It's probably bad for me, but I'll do that. If I get bored of water, I'll put some flavoring in the water or something. I like to drink a lot of water during the day. And so do something like that. But it's like, if you had something like that in there, like if I had sprayed this stuff in there, this is tropical, right? Tropical fusion. If I put a bunch of tropical fusion and then somebody did something like that, I probably wouldn't even be able to taste it. It'd be terrible. But anyway, yeah, you used to be able to do pranks and then people took it too far. Is that too far? As a joke, like peeing in yeah, that's too far. I'm not the greatest of judges in that way. I told you this before. I did a wacky morning show years and years ago, and we would do bets with listeners. And so one was a tattoo. One was I told you this was the pepper spray in the eyes. One we shaved the guy's eyebrows off. I lost a bet one time in which I had to do the paintball, so I had to go in like a banana hammock Speedo and run. I told you that. And I got hit with paintballs because I lost a bet. Like, it was just your typical wacky morning show. We would have never done that. We'd have never been like, hey, we're going to urinate in a water jug and you got to drink it. Like, yeah, we wouldn't have done that. That sounds like some sort of weird Rex Ryan fetish. It's not something I would do. It's not for me. What else do we got? Yeah, that was the other thing I was thinking. Thank you, Jazz Fan, for bringing that up. Kid 16. That was the other thing too. I was thinking, oh my God, kid 16. Like there's one of two ways. Either this is going to scare him straight. Remember that old movie Scared Straight, and they took kids and they put them into prison? Like, I'm not coming back here. And so either the kid is just going to be like, I am never doing this again, or was the case of some of my friends. That's just the beginning. You can imagine that at 16, like, oh my God, what is going to happen here? What path is our son going to go down? He's peeing in a jug. I mean, to be honest, it would be hard to be like, dude, like that's really stupid, but it's kind of funny. But it's really stupid. Never do it again, but it's kind of funny. But it's really stupid. So don't do it again. Don't do it again. It wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world, like killed somebody or something. But I get it. I get it. That's the way we are as a society now. It's like, oh, he's been suspended forever. No. I wouldn't do it. I mean, there's no way. Can you imagine? And then you're back there and like, the guy's drinking it. Like, oh my God. Anyway, there you go. That is your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. Episode 109, playoffs, yes or no. I wrote the piece at JohnLundUnleashed.com in order who you'd like to see the Warriors play and not play. You can check that out at JohnLundUnleashed.com. I am going to drop a video later to accompany that. What time do we have right now? We're about 10 o'clock, so we've been on the air about 2 hours. 10 o'clock today, so we'll drop that about noon, the accompanying video, so make sure that you're out looking for that. If you have your alerts on at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, you will get it there. Make sure you're subscribing on Bay Area Sports Collective as well, because I know Tommy's going to be on at 2 o'clock today, so there's a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned to you as well. And as I always tell you, the program is sponsored by our good friends at 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. All you got to do is click on a QR code right there. Get that appointment to 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. I am doing the testosterone treatments. I have low T. As you get older, maybe you're irritable, you're tired, you're just not feeling like yourself. You're like, what's going on, man? I don't have the energy I used to have. What's happening? All you got to do is get a quick blood test. Then Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 will look at that and say, okay, this is what we need to boost you up to. We're not going to make you crazy. You're not going to be like you're 20 years old, but we're going to boost your levels up. You're going to feel great. And all you got to do is go in there. It's about every 4 months, so about 3 times a year. And it's a quick, fast procedure. You're out of there, man. It's just really, really fast. It's more reasonable than you think as well. I used to have to do those shots every single week. You don't want to do that. It's a big pain. Not literally, just it's like, oh my God, I got to go in there now. It's Thursday. I forgot. So you do it every 4 months and you feel like yourself again. Talk to Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 about low T and testosterone replacement therapy. It is absolutely great. It's changed my life. I'm being honest, 100% honest with you. It's, I was tired and feeling crummy and being irritable. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's that. Helps you lose weight faster, speeds up your metabolism, all those kind of things. Get back to feeling like you used to do with Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿. And then I tell you about pain management. My wife, she was doing the stem cell. Now, maybe some people, you've had the blood spinning. I've had that done before for certain parts of your body. But you put those stem cells in there, and it's absolutely magical. My wife did the shoulder. She did the elbow. I've told you that. 90% on the shoulder, about 60, 70% on the elbow. She had her feet done, and her foot, she's like, it's 100%. She's not just saying that. I'll have her pop in right now. It's 100%. She's just ranting and raving about it. Absolutely great with the stem cell treatment. So Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 does those things and much, much more. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Make sure that you check them out. And just for good measure, I'll put this up on the board. Just click on that QR code. It is very simple. It'll take you right to the website. You can get all the information on any kind of procedures that you want to check out, but specifically, like I said, the low T and the stem cell stuff, but they do a ton of other things as well. So just go to the website and check it out. And that helps the show as they are the fine sponsor. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Did we miss anything? Let me go through the chat one more time. If we missed anything at all, I want to make sure that you all have a great Tuesday. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be short on the show, but I'm going to put a bunch of other stuff up today so that you can you won't miss me. Like I said, I'll do the piece today. I'll put the video up with who the Warriors want to play and not. Got a couple other things that I'm going to put out. We'll put some shorts out today as well. We'll do about an hour plus show tomorrow. Then I got to run over to Oracle Park for the day game that starts at 12:45. Want to get into the dugout with Bob Melvin about 10:30, so I got to jump on the show a little bit earlier. And then I may do a post game tomorrow night on location near the ballpark. We're working on something. That's why I had to jump out a little bit early yesterday. We're trying to dot I's and cross T's on something where I can actually do the show close to the ballpark. So it's, in other words, I can go and I can go in the clubhouse and can talk to a bunch of guys, and then we'll actually be able to play that for you and do a post game show from around the yard. So that should be kind of cool, right? Kind of digging it. All right. There you go. All right. What else? We're talking about starfish and jellyfish. Local pro day is tomorrow. Thanks, Chris. I'll check into that. The local pro day is tomorrow. Got to make sure we do that. What else do we have today? I guess that's it. Paulie and Tony at 11 a.m. Is that true? Paulie and Tony at 11 a.m. Thanks, Dom. You would know. So, all right. So stay with Bay Area Sports Collective because it's 10 o'clock now. I'm going to give you about an hour, a little bit less, to gather yourself, do a little bit of work, and then jump back on to the Bay Area Sports Collective. Watch Paulie and Tony in Paulie's Particles at 11 o'clock. And I know that Tommy's jumping back on today and will be on a few times this week. He's going to jump on at 2 o'clock today. So you got me. I'll finish up here. You got Paulie and Tony coming up at 11 o'clock, and you got Tom Tolbert coming up at 2 o'clock at Bay Area Sports Collective. Before we get out of here, please remember to give us a thumbs up today. Would really appreciate that. That would help the algorithm. It is great when you give us a thumbs up. So please do that at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Thanks to those watching today on Instagram. I haven't really checked in on Instagram today. I got to make sure that my friends at Instagram are here. Hi, everybody on Instagram. Checking in on our friends with Instagram. Thanks for watching on X today. Good turnout on X today. At John Lund Radio on Twitch, Bay Area Sports Collective on YouTube, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So all of those places. Thanks to everybody for hanging out today. If you got any questions, comments, thoughts, remember, hit me up right in the comment section here. You can hit me up at John Lund Radio as well. Questions, comments, thoughts. Really appreciate it. By the way, wait a minute. You are, no. There it is right here. Don't know that I've seen you. I like you. My God, this thing is moving so fast. I was trying to get to somebody who I thought was new, but oh, there we go. Right there. Oh, whatever. I'm trying to get to it. I'm promising. There you go. There you go. The Sharp Rate Kid. Very nice. Juan Miguel. Hello, Juan Miguel. Don't know that I've seen you. That is a wonderful mullet. Welcome. If you've just changed your name or something like that, welcome still. Doesn't matter. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's go. Let's hit me up. I need to hit you up, Dom. I will hit you up. And we'll get some logos and things like that. It's very cool. All right. Anybody else with anything? Frank, I don't know if I said good morning to you, but good morning. Aaron, good stuff today. Really cool stuff. Make sure that you're subscribing. Have a great Tuesday. We'll do a great show tomorrow. And then right after the game, we might be doing a post-game show tomorrow. So please keep those alerts on because we may do a double dip tomorrow because I just feel like I owe you. If I do a short show, then I feel like I need to owe you. So all that stuff is going on. Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. Everybody have a wonderful.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!